Hey Chiefs Kingdom. Buckle up because this one came out of nowhere and might be one of the most intriguing moves of the entire draft. We're talking about a late-round pick that could quietly shape the future of the Kansas City Chiefs in a way nobody saw coming. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to see this pick very differently. Because yes, the Chiefs just drafted a quarterback. For the first time since Patrick Mahomes. Let that sink in for a second. And here's the crazy part. It wasn't just a random move. This was something Brett Veach and Andy Reid have been planning behind the scenes for years. So what does this mean for the future of the Kansas City Chiefs? Let's break it all down. The Kansas City Chiefs used pick number 249 in the 2026 NFL Draft to select LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier, a seventh-round pick, a name that many fans didn't even expect to hear at that moment. Even Nussmeier himself was surprised. He admitted he had almost no contact with the Chiefs during the pre-draft process, which makes this selection feel like a stealth move straight out of a chess match. And that's exactly how Kansas City operates. Quiet, strategic, always thinking 2 steps ahead. But why Nussmeier and why now? Let's talk about the shock factor. This wasn't just surprising for fans. It was surprising for analysts, insiders, and even the player himself. Nussmeier said teams often hide their true intentions during the draft process, and clearly, the Chiefs played their cards close to the chest. That alone should tell you something about how much they valued this opportunity. Because when a team like the Kansas City Chiefs moves in silence, it usually means they see something others don't. And that's where things get really interesting. Now here's a historic angle that makes this even bigger. The Chiefs had not drafted a quarterback since 2017, when they selected Patrick Mahomes. Think about that. Nearly a decade without drafting a QB. Not because they didn't need one, but because they had the one. So breaking that streak? That's not accidental. That's intentional. That's a signal. According to VP of Player Personnel Ryan Nutt, this wasn't a last-minute decision. This was something the organization had been discussing for a long time. The idea of drafting and developing a young quarterback behind Mahomes has been on the table for years. The timing just never lined up. Until now. And finally, in 2026, everything aligned. The right player, the right value, the right moment. But let's address the elephant in the room. Why did Garrett Nussmeier fall so far in the draft? Because coming into the cycle, he wasn't projected as a 7th-round pick. Not even close. He was widely seen as a top 3 quarterback prospect. So what happened? How does a player go from potential early pick to almost undrafted? The answer lies in his 2025 season. After a strong 2024 campaign where he threw for over 4,000 yards and 29 touchdowns, expectations were sky high. But 2025 didn't go as planned. Injuries limited him to 9 starts, and his production dropped significantly. He finished with 1,927 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Solid numbers, but not what scouts were expecting after his breakout year. And in the NFL draft, perception is everything. Momentum matters. And unfortunately for Nussmeier, his momentum stalled at the worst possible time. But there's more to the story. According to Ryan Nutt, Nussmeier was dealing with an oblique injury that wasn't widely known. For a quarterback, that's a big deal. Your core is everything. Your ability to generate power, torque, and velocity depends on it. So if he couldn't fully rotate his hips or drive the ball like usual, that explains a lot about the drop-off in performance. And it wasn't just the injury. LSU went through major coaching changes mid-season, including firing both the head coach and offensive coordinator. That kind of instability can completely disrupt a quarterback's rhythm, development, and confidence. But as Nutt said, the NFL is a results-driven league. Teams don't draft based on excuses. They draft based on what they see on tape. Still, the Chiefs clearly looked deeper. They didn't just see the bad season, they saw the full picture. And that's where Kansas City separates itself from other franchises. They bet on upside. They bet on development. They bet on their system. Because let's be honest, if there's any place where a young quarterback can grow without pressure, it's behind Patrick Mahomes. There's no rush, no expectations to start immediately, just time to learn, adapt, and improve. And that might be the most valuable situation any rookie QB could ask for. Now here's something really fascinating. The Chiefs are essentially creating something they've never had in the Mahomes era, a true developmental quarterback pipeline. For years, they relied on veteran backups, short-term solutions, stopgaps. But now, they're investing in the future at the position, even with a generational talent already in place. And that says a lot about how forward-thinking this organization is. Let's talk about the financial angle too, because this matters more than people realize. Having a quarterback on a rookie deal as your backup is significantly cheaper than signing a veteran every year. That flexibility allows the Kansas City Chiefs to allocate more resources to other key positions, especially with Mahomes' contract on the books. So this move isn't just about football. It's about long-term roster construction. And then there's the mentorship factor. Imagine being Garrett Nussmeier, walking into a locker room led by Patrick Mahomes. You're learning from one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Every practice, every meeting, every rep. That kind of environment can accelerate development in ways you just can't replicate anywhere else. Now let's not ignore the competition aspect. The Chiefs also brought in Justin Fields, which adds another layer to this QB room. So Nussmeier isn't just sitting back. He's entering a competitive environment where he has to earn everything. And that's exactly how great teams build depth and resilience. The Chiefs are clearly building something bigger here. This isn't just about 2026. This is about 2027 and beyond. They're thinking ahead, preparing for every scenario, staying one step ahead of the league. And that's why they continue to dominate year after year. Another key detail, Nussmeier comes from a football family. His father, Doug Nussmeier, is an NFL offensive coordinator. So this is a player who's been around the game his entire life. He understands systems. He understands preparation. That kind of background can make a huge difference in how quickly a player adapts to the NFL. And here's the bottom line, Chiefs Kingdom. This is a low-risk, high-upside move. 7th-round pick. Minimal investment. But the potential return? Massive. If Nussmeier develops into a reliable backup, that's a win. If he becomes more than that, that's a steal. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think about this move by the Kansas City Chiefs? Do you believe Garrett Nussmeier could be the future backup behind Mahomes? Or even more? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get this debate going. And if you love staying updated with Noticias dos Kansas City Chiefs news, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and share this with every Chiefs fan you know. But let's take this even deeper, because this move might be more strategic than it looks on the surface. Chiefs Kingdom. When you analyze how the Kansas City Chiefs operate, nothing is accidental, especially when it comes to the quarterback position. This isn't just about adding depth. This is about building insurance, leverage, and long-term sustainability in a league where things change fast. And if we've learned anything from Brett Veach and Andy Reid, it's that they don't wait for problems to happen. They prepare for them years in advance. Think about the timeline here. Patrick Mahomes is still in his prime, still dominating, still the face of the NFL. But eventually, every team has to think about transitions, injuries, contract structures, and roster flexibility. And bringing in a developmental quarterback now gives the Kansas City Chiefs options they didn't have before. Now imagine this scenario. It's 2027. Nussmeier has had a full year, maybe two, inside Andy Reid's system. He's studied under Mahomes. He's refined his mechanics. He's adapted to NFL speed. At that point, you're not just looking at a project anymore. You're looking at a potential asset. And in today's NFL, quarterbacks are currency. Teams are constantly searching for young, affordable quarterbacks with upside. If Nussmeier shows flashes in preseason or limited action, his value could skyrocket. That opens doors for the Chiefs, whether it's keeping him as a reliable backup or even flipping him in a trade for valuable draft capital. That's how elite franchises stay ahead. They create value where others don't even think to look. Now let's talk about fit, because this is where things get really interesting. Garrett Nussmeier isn't just a random quarterback prospect. He's a rhythm passer with solid decision-making and a quick release, traits that can thrive in Andy Reid's offensive system. He may not have elite arm strength like Mahomes, but he doesn't need it in this role. What he needs is processing speed, accuracy, and the ability to execute the system efficiently. And those are exactly the traits the Chiefs believe they can develop. But here's the real question. Did other teams miss on him, or did the Chiefs simply outsmart everyone? Because when a player projected as a top quarterback prospect falls all the way to the 7th round, it usually means one of two things. Either the league saw something fundamentally wrong, or one team saw something everyone else overlooked. And if history tells us anything, betting against the Kansas City Chiefs evaluation process hasn't worked out too well. Let's not forget, this is the same organization that traded up for Patrick Mahomes when many teams hesitated. They saw greatness before the rest of the league caught on. So when they take a swing on a quarterback, even late in the draft, it's worth paying attention. Now, I want you to picture training camp. Nussmeier stepping onto the field, learning the playbook, taking reps behind Mahomes and competing alongside Justin Fields. Every throw being analyzed, every decision being coached, every mistake being corrected. That environment is intense, but it's also the perfect place for growth. And if he embraces that process, there's no limit to how much he can improve. Another angle that fans aren't talking about enough is how this impacts the locker room dynamic. Quarterback rooms are unique. They're built on trust, communication, and shared responsibility. Bringing in a young, hungry player like Nussmeier injects new energy into that group. It creates competition, but also collaboration. And when you have leaders like Mahomes setting the tone, that culture becomes a powerful tool for development. Now let's address expectations, because this is important. Nobody should expect Nussmeier to come in and be a star overnight. This is a long-term project, a slow burn, a developmental journey, and that's exactly why this situation is ideal. There's no pressure, no spotlight, no immediate demands, just time, coaching, and opportunity. And sometimes that's all a talented player needs to unlock his full potential. So as we wrap this up, here's the big takeaway, Chiefs Kingdom. This wasn't just a late-round pick. This was a calculated investment in the future of the Kansas City Chiefs. A move that reflects vision, patience, and strategic thinking at the highest level. And while it may not dominate headlines today, don't be surprised if we look back on this moment in a few years and realize it was bigger than we thought. Now it's your turn. I want to know how you feel about the direction the Kansas City Chiefs are taking. Do you trust this long-term quarterback strategy? Do you believe Nussmeier can develop into something special? Drop your take in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going. And if you're all about Noticias dos Kansas City Chiefs news, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your fellow Chiefs fans. Because here in Chiefs Kingdom, we don't just watch the future, we see it coming.